Today I'm going to go over 3 different ways that I deal with my Ehlers Danlos that are somewhat unconventional because I feel like they're things that I've done since I was diagnosed, or really since I've been doing my whole life. I haven't realized that I had Ehlers Danlos, and I've been doing them always to compensate, and now again everything kind of makes sense. So as I had mentioned in my previous video, I was diagnosed later in life, and now everything that was kind of odd about me as a child and growing up made sense. So these were things that I've done to compensate. And so I'm going to call Ehlers Danlos EDS because that's a little bit easier to say throughout the entire video, and you're going to get sick of me saying Ehlers Danlos. But basically, I was thinking last night, and I was like, Ehlers Danlos EDS. So EDS. Ergonomics, daily activities, and then symptoms. So those are 3 things I'm going to go over. And I think that I'm going to go over the daily activity and the symptoms first because ergonomics is really the one that has like changed my life forever. So let's kind of save that until last. And this video shouldn't be too long. I know I always say that, but it shouldn't be too long. So the daily activity, that has been something that I never realized how important it is, but just doing something daily is so important for me because if I don't do some form of daily activity, and for me it's some form of just moving, but most importantly, not doing like stretching and that kind of thing, but doing something more to strengthen my body, strengthen all the muscles around my joints, that helps the most to keep my joints really stable. So at minimum, I do like neck exercises, I do push-ups every day, and I do arm exercises, leg exercises, and then like hip strengthening. And my goal is to really just keep everything strong because I seem, and this has been again something that's been going on my whole life, is I get really deconditioned easily. So like if I have the flu for a few days, I get really weak and deconditioned if I've been in bed for a few days, and then that's where I tend to get injured. So or if like I've been traveling, that I'll tend to get injured too because I'm kind of out of my environment. And then what I notice is if I have like asymmetrical pain after exercise, that is, kind of a warning sign for me to make sure that I understand like why it happened. Like for instance, yesterday, and this wasn't even exercise, but I was carrying a bag that was kind of heavy and awkward, and I was carrying it on my right shoulder. And then today, my neck just feels off. And so I always want to understand like why do things feel off? Because if I don't know why, then that kind of freaks me out because I don't know what I did to make it happen. So like I thought back, what did I do yesterday? And I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Or if I'm carrying something, I've now realized that I can't just carry something like with my arms straight, totally extended, because then I'll hyperextend. So it really helps to like carry a backpack, and I'll get into this more in ergonomics, but it helps to carry a backpack or to just carry something that's over my shoulder instead of with my arms straight. So daily activity is really important to me because I need to just keep all my muscles around the joints strengthened, and then that will keep everything kind of in place. And I've noticed that that's one of the most important things that I have to do on pretty much a daily basis, unfortunately. So it's, and when I say unfortunately, it's like I'm not the kind of person that can go on vacation and just like not exercise for a week. But the nice thing about it is I've kind of made it so that I can do a routine if I had to in like 10 minutes just to keep everything strong. So a long time ago, I used to feel like I had to do like a full routine in order to just keep myself strong, whereas now I'm able to just make sure I kind of like get moving for 10 minutes or so. So that's nice. And then symmetrical pain, like that pain that you get, when you're just sore from exercise, to me, that's great because it means that I'm kind of, working everything symmetrically and properly, and that, my muscles are getting a little bit stronger. So symmetrical pain is something that pain from exercise is something that I kind of welcome, whereas that asymmetric pain, it makes me nervous because then I compensate in some ways if something is a little bit off. Okay, so that's the daily activity. And then symptoms, and I had mentioned this in my in my other video, the previous video on Ehlers Danlos with my diagnosis, is, you know, not to overlook the symptoms of Ehlers Danlos, but so many weird things happen with me and I'm always wondering why. And knock on wood, like when I go to the doctor and I get my blood work or I get imaging, it's pretty much normal. So I am otherwise healthy. So if something just doesn't make sense to me, I'm like, okay, well then this is kind of weird, and then it's probably related to my Ehlers Danlos. So again, not to dismiss things, but it kind of helps me to just be more mentally calm about things, and I think that that's helpful when I'm also talking to other people that have Ehlers Danlos. So the last one is ergonomics. So I had mentioned, and this is part of the reason that I had started my YouTube channel, was in 2020, when we were all on lockdown, I'm an internal medicine, bariatric obesity medicine physician. And so I basically transitioned in a weekend to be working from the office to working from home. And thank goodness I had a desk and everything, but my chair was horrible. I think I even had pictures of it. I got rid of them, but I had pictures of all the things I had to do to like prop up my chair to make it comfortable for me to work at home. And then when I realized I was gonna be working at home for a really long time, I invested in a few things for my desk space. And that has been absolutely life-changing. So I feel so much better. When I used to go into work, it was really frustrating because I didn't have my own office. So instead I had a room where I would see patients. And since I started where I did 20 years ago, because of my Ehlers Danlos, they always had to bring my patients to me, because I'm not the kind of person, again, that, you know, you see a lot of physicians, they hop from room to room, they sit down, they're on this computer, they're on that computer, they're carrying a laptop, they're doing all these things. I'm looking at my computer in the background, like praise, so good, I love it. But that's what I'm staring at in the background. And I'll show you a picture of my computer and my setup. But I'm not the kind of physician that can just, hey, like, how are you doing? Walk in, see the patient, walk out, type on anything, you know, be standing up and typing on my laptop. I can't. So I have to have just like a setup that is set up for me at work. And then they bring in the patients to see me. So that was all and good until my room and just space issues at a lot of the hospitals. People would use my room before I came in. And so then every day I would have to reset up like where my chair height was, where my monitor height was, and it would take me a really long time every single day to do that. So I'd have to come in, set up everything, you know, perfectly, and then, or sometimes like the chair wouldn't be there, and then I'd have to go to the office manager and be like, you know, where's my chair? And it was just incredibly stressful. So the one good thing about converting to telemedicine is that I was able to establish my home office. My patients love it, and I absolutely love it. And that's part of the reason I also understand my patients and their mobility issues. So I absolutely love it, and it's just made such a difference. So when I started off, I had mentioned that I had this horrible chair. It wasn't a horrible chair, but it just wasn't good for like being on your computer all day. And then I had my laptop. One thing I knew is that the monitor had to be at eye level. So I had my laptop all the way boosted up on books, on lots of books, and so that it was at eye level. And then I'm never able to type on a laptop anyway. So I always had a wireless keyboard and wireless mouse. Keep that in mind. Wireless keyboard, wireless mouse are incredibly helpful for people that have to be on the computer with Ehlers Danlos or any kind of instability, you know, any kind of neck issues, wrist issues. That's really helpful. So you always have your monitor up, and then you've got your computer and your keyboard, and then the wireless mouse. And I also use the wireless mouse a little bit differently. What I do is I now have an all-in-one desktop. So that's been great, because why do I even have a laptop to begin with? So got rid of that. Have the desktop, and so it's, you know, it's right at my eye level. And then I've got my chair, which I'll show you a picture of in just a second. Actually, I could show you a picture right now. So I have my chair, and as you can see, the chair has like the arms that go out, and the arms are completely adjustable inside, outside. They go all different ways. And then I've got my all-in-one computer. I have like a book on a stand right next to it because I can't be looking down at books. Like I'm not the kind of person that can just be in bed reading. I have to have a proper setup to read things. And then you can see that long wrist pad. I've got that, and then I have my mouse, and then I have the keyboard. So it's wrist pad, mouse, keyboard. So the reason why I have that is because I find that if I have a mouse on the side and I'm doing this motion with the mouse, it hurts my wrist. It hurts my wrist, it hurts my neck, everything. So I actually have the keyboard, I have my hands propped up on my chair, and then the keyboard and that wrist pad, and I can link all these below, but the wrist pad, and then the mouse is in the middle. So I hope that makes sense, but it's again, it's unconventional, but that's what works for me. So that has made a tremendous difference. And things to keep in mind also, like when I go to the dentist or if I'm watching TV, I have to make sure that I'm adjusted, because just sitting at the dentist for a half an hour for a cleaning or whatever, if I'm uncomfortable, if things are kind of off when I first lay down, then it's going to be a problem and I'm going to feel it the next day. Same thing with watching TV. I have like a lazy boy chair that's adjustable, so that way, I can watch TV. As I had mentioned, I don't just sit in bed and read. I always have to sit at a chair, and then I have like a desk, a little desk riser with the book, and then a book stand so that everything can be at eye level. What else? When I had my I'm just looking at my notes, as always. When I had my colonoscopy for the first time, my screening colonoscopy 2 years ago, I had mentioned them. I'm like, I have neck instability, Ehlers Danlos, and they knew all about it. And like, I need to know what position you're going to have me in. Can you please put me in that position before you give me the anesthesia? That way I can tell you if it's uncomfortable or not. So that was great, because my biggest fear was to wake up from the anesthesia and then be really like, have like numbness and tingling in my right arm, because it was at that area of my neck that I have a compression. So that went well. And then sleeping, I have a setup where I always lay on my back. That took a long time, let me tell you, to lay on my back. It's still so hard for me to fall asleep on my back, but that's been the best thing for me. I sleep on my back, and then under my knees, I have a pillow. And so I have to get that adjusted. Like if I go to a hotel or if traveling, that kind of thing, I always have to have, the pillow under my neck, and then I have to have the pillow under my knees. And then just on a fashion note, handbags and shoes. So my feet, and I had mentioned this in the other video, but I forgot to also mention that when my podiatrist helped to diagnose me with Ehlers Danlos, he mentioned that my feet were like the worst foot that you could possibly have. I'm hypermobile and I have high arches. And he's like, that's just the worst possible foot, and I have bunions, the worst possible foot that you can have. So I've accepted the fact that, I'm never gonna be able to wear high heels. Uggs are actually my favorite shoes. Uggs makes like so many varieties. I wear Uggs all the time. It's not just the furry boots that you think of. I have gym shoes from Uggs. I have boots from Uggs. I have little like platforms, and people are always like, oh, I love your shoes. I'm like, yeah, they're Uggs. So Uggs they work for me. Not sponsored, by the way. I should be, because I get so many people to buy them. But so Uggs are great for me, and I've just found that shoe, and shoes are incredibly important. I have to not go for fashion. I just have to go for comfort. And then handbags, I used to have so many handbags. I still have a love for handbags, but as I had mentioned before, the best thing for me is a backpack. Or something that like has like a top handle and a shoulder strap. So I can't just hold something like this that's a really big bag and not have like a shoulder strap or a crossbody as well. So those are some adjustments that I have made. Hopefully you made it to the end of the video. See, it's still like almost 15 minutes, but I just was thinking about it, and I was like, I should probably share these things, because another thing that I think happens a lot is when someone hasn't been diagnosed with Ehlers Danlos, or they're really frustrated and then they're put on medications or given surgeries for the instability and the pain and all the various things that go along with Ehlers Danlos. Medications, again, as I had mentioned in my previous video, are metabolized differently with people with EDS, so it's just hard to start that process of being on medications. Once you have a surgery, you have deconditioning that happens, and all the aftermath of that. So hopefully these things will just help in order to make you all think of like ways to conventionally treat your Ehlers Danlos if you have Ehlers Danlos or any kind of spectrum of that, or any kind of joint instability. And then thank you so much for watching. Comment, subscribe, share. At this time, I have 79 subscribers at the time of the filming of this video. My goal is to, of course, get to 100 to start off with, and most importantly, just let me know what you like, let me know what you don't like, let me know what you want to see in the future, and then I will see you next week. Thank you. Bye.